Simon Herwood groomed and mistreated 21 female colleagues in the span of 14 years. Manuel Reyes was reported by a junior colleague for groping and attempting to kiss her over the course of several years, and Salvatore Marchesi kept climbing the ranks in the police, while his mistreatment of female subordinates stayed under the radar. Cops are sworn in to protect citizens from crime and harm, but sometimes, especially for female cops, the real danger isn't out on the streets, it's inside the precinct. In this video, I will show you cases of officers who took things way too far with their female colleagues and paid the price. Salvatore Marchesi. Captain Salvatore Marchesi joined the NYPD in January 1992 and eventually reached the rank of captain at the Transit Bureau by March 2023. But behind this seemingly successful career lies a troubling pattern of behavior toward female officers under his command. In 2013, Marchesi faced his first serious allegation when a female officer claimed he had forced her to perform oral sex. This case was settled for $100,000, but remarkably, the settlement came with no admission of wrongdoing. Rather than facing termination or demotion, Marchesi continued his ascent within the department's hierarchy. By 2018, he had been appointed to run station houses in Manhattan and the Bronx, positions of significant authority and responsibility. This promotion came despite his history and would put more female officers under his command. In August 2022, Marchesi was sued again, this time for allegedly mistreating a pregnant officer. According to the lawsuit, he forced her to work overnight shifts, a direct form of discrimination based on her pregnancy status. The timing of these overnight assignments appeared punitive rather than operationally necessary, suggesting a pattern of targeted mistreatment. Just 6 months later, in February 2023, 2 additional lawsuits were filed against Marchesi, accusing him of physically and verbally hurting female employees, particularly those who were pregnant or caring for children. What makes Marchesi's case particularly troubling is that he wasn't just any officer. He was a supervisor with significant power over his accusers' careers. This power dynamic made reporting his behavior especially risky for the women involved, many of whom feared retaliation if they spoke up. And Marchesi's case wasn't limited to misconduct. His disciplinary record shows a 2018 finding of guilt on 3 charges: failing to conduct a proper investigation, failing to adequately maintain his activity log, and failing to ensure that a police accident report was completed. For these violations, he received a penalty of just 15 vacation days, a punishment that critics argue failed to address the seriousness of his misconduct. Despite this record and the multiple lawsuits against him, Marchesi has consistently denied any wrongdoing. This denial, coupled with his continued employment and promotions, has fueled significant controversy about accountability within the NYPD. The fact that Marchesi oversaw the NYPD's Public Protection Unit, which deals with victims of domestic violence, adds a particularly troubling dimension to his case. An officer charged with protecting vulnerable victims was himself allegedly victimizing women under his command, creating a profound breach of trust within the department and community. While Marchesi seemed to target pregnant women, this next cop had it out for an entire unit. Joe Danny Garcia. Our next case takes us to the Los Angeles Police Department and centers on Sergeant Joe Danny Garcia. The story begins in May 2015, when Garcia took leadership of the LAPD's Bloodhound Unit. Shortly after assuming this position, he allegedly began assaulting Carolyn Clark, a canine handler in the unit. According to court testimony, Garcia's misconduct included physical touching, rubbing Clark's shoulders and back, and making inappropriate comments about her rear end. These actions weren't just uncomfortable, they created a hostile work environment for Clark, particularly during on-duty calls when she found herself alone with Garcia. The power dynamic between a sergeant and an officer under his command made the situation even more problematic, as Clark felt she had limited options for addressing the harassment. In August 2016, the situation escalated when Clark, along with 3 other LAPD dog handlers, David Duros, Ricardo Sanchez, and Elliot Zibley, filed a lawsuit alleging inappropriate behavior and workplace retaliation. While Clark's allegations focused on Garcia's behavior, Duros and Zibley reported facing retaliation after complaining about the harassment, including being punished by management for their reports. The case began to move through the legal system, and in 2018, Clark reached a settlement with the city for $1.6 million, resolving her part of the lawsuit. During testimony in 2019, Clark explained that she had been reluctant to complain about Garcia's behavior because she feared being ostracized within the department, a common concern among officers who experience harassment. The story didn't end with Clark's settlement. In May 2019, a jury awarded Duros and Zibley $8.6 million in their retaliation lawsuit against the LAPD, highlighting the department's failure to address the issue and instead punishing officers who reported it. What happened to Garcia after these settlements? This is where the story takes a particularly troubling turn. Rather than facing demotion promotion or termination, Garcia was transferred to a coveted position at LAPD's Internal Affairs. For many critics, this transfer, which could be seen as a promotion, exemplified the department's failure to hold officers accountable for mistreatment of female staff. Throughout the legal proceedings, Garcia consistently denied the allegations against him, claiming in court testimony that he resigned from his position as head of the Bloodhound team in January 2016 due to pressure from subordinates making accusations against him. The impact on the careers of the reporting officers was significant. Clark retired from the LAPD in 2018, citing the hostile work environment. Similarly, Duros and Zibli expressed devastation over their careers ending early due to retaliation. 3 promising careers in law enforcement were cut short, while the officer accused of misconduct continued his work within the department. For his misconduct, Garcia was sent to another department, but this next cop did not get that kind of punishment. Curtis Younger. This case came to light in late July 2019 when Corporal Audra McCowan and another officer, Jennifer Allen, filed a federal civil rights suit against the city, the Philadelphia Police Department, and several officials, including Curtis Younger. The lawsuit highlighted what they described as a pattern of mistreatment and retaliation within the department. According to McCowan's allegations, Younger's unwanted contact began in 2014 and persisted for years, with escalation to physical touching earlier in 2019. His behavior was characterized as unrelenting and inappropriate, including multiple attempts to remove McCowan's wedding ring, a clear boundary violation that suggested romantic intent despite her married status. What makes this case particularly noteworthy is that supervisors were allegedly aware of Younger's behavior on several occasions, but failed to intervene, creating an environment where mistreatment of female colleagues was effectively tolerated. The legal process moved forward, and a jury ultimately awarded McCowan $1 million in her case against Younger, a substantial sum that reflected the severity of the allegations and the harm caused. However, the jury's recognition of the harm done stands in stark contrast to the departmental response to Younger's behavior. Despite the serious allegations and the $1 million jury award, Younger was suspended for just 1 day following the allegations and remained employed by the Philadelphia Police Department. This minimal disciplinary action has fueled controversy over accountability within the department. The lawsuit that included allegations against Younger had widespread implications within the department. It led to the resignation of then PPD Commissioner Richard Ross, who was accused of ignoring mistreatment complaints as retribution for a personal affair with one of the plaintiffs. This high-level fallout demonstrated how these cases can reveal complex webs of relationships and retaliatory behavior within police departments. In 2020, the legal case continued to develop, with U.S. District Court Judge Karen Spencer Marston dismissing several claims against Younger, including violations of protections for nursing mothers, disparate treatment, hostile work environment, and retaliation under various laws. However, Younger remained a defendant in the lawsuit, indicating ongoing legal scrutiny. Public records from 2022 listed Curtis Younger Jr. as a PPD officer with an annual salary of $80,240, suggesting he was still employed at that time, years after the allegations and the jury award. This continued employment, with apparently minimal impact on his career trajectory, stands in stark contrast to McCowan's experience. For McCowan, the consequences of reporting were significant. She was transferred after making her complaint and ultimately retired early from the department. The financial cost to the city was substantial, with Philadelphia spending $2.8 million over 5 years on settlements related to such cases as part of broader departmental payouts. Younger's actions forced another man to resign, but this next cop faced the fallout all by himself. Tom Simons. Tom Simons held a position of significant authority as a chief superintendent, running policing in North Essex and previously heading Essex Police's Public Protection Unit. This unit dealt with sensitive issues including domestic violence and human trafficking, making the nature of his misconduct particularly troubling given his professional responsibilities. The case began in March 2022 when Essex Police referred multiple allegations against Simons to the Independent Office for Police Conduct. At this time, Simons was suspended from duty while a thorough investigation commenced. The IOPC conducted a detailed investigation, interviewing Simons under criminal caution, executing a search warrant at his house, and examining his mobile phone and other devices. The investigation concluded in December 2022 2023, and in January 2024, evidence was referred to the Crown Prosecution Service for potential charges related to alleged assault, coercive control, and misconduct in public office. However, in June 2024, the CPS decided not to press criminal charges, meaning no criminal proceedings followed. Despite this decision, the misconduct hearing proceeded, focusing on Simons's violations of professional standards. The disciplinary hearing began on March 31, 2025, chaired by Assistant Chief Constable John Murphy of Bedfordshire Police. After thorough examination of the evidence, the panel determined that Simons had breached multiple police professional standards of behavior, including those relating to integrity, authority, respect and courtesy, duties and responsibilities, and discreditable conduct. The specific findings against Simons were serious and extensive. He abused his senior position in relation to one woman, he engaged in inappropriate behavior at work with 2 colleagues, including one instance of non-consensual act, he touched a colleague inappropriately, and he failed to disclose his relationship with a colleague when he knew he should do so. Despite Simons's denial of the allegations, the panel found the case for gross misconduct proven. On April 18, 2025, Simons was dismissed with immediate effect and placed on the College of Policing barred list, ensuring he cannot join any UK police force in the future. This decisive action demonstrates a commitment to addressing misconduct, even at the highest levels of policing. Essex Chief Constable Ben Julian Harrington made a strong statement following the dismissal, saying, "There is simply no place in policing for people who think, wrongly, that they can get away with sexual misconduct." This statement reflects an institutional recognition of the seriousness of such behavior and its incompatibility with police service. IOPC Director Emily Berry praised the courage of the women who reported Simons, noting that their reports led to strong evidence for dismissal. This acknowledgement highlights the crucial role that reporting plays in addressing misconduct and the bravery required to come forward, especially when the accused is a high-ranking officer. The Simons case demonstrates that accountability is possible, even for high-ranking officers, but requires both brave reporting from victims and institutional commitment to thorough investigation and appropriate consequences. While Simons' case gave hope to those who'd been mistreated, this next cop got off a little too easily. Wayne Lightfoot. Lieutenant Wayne Lightfoot served as a supervisor in the LAPD's Professional Standards Bureau, a unit responsible for maintaining the integrity and ethical standards of the department. This position made his alleged misconduct particularly troubling, as he was entrusted with upholding the very standards he was accused of violating. The allegations against Lightfoot began in late 2013 and continued through mid-2014, creating a hostile work environment for Officer Linda Allstott, a subordinate in the Bureau. According to court testimony, Lightfoot made inappropriate remarks to Allstott multiple times per month, including comments such as, "You could wear that for me anytime," and "You're skinny and have a better body than most 20-year-olds these days. They are all fat." He also allegedly leered at her in an inappropriate manner, creating discomfort in the workplace. The unwanted behavior wasn't limited to comments about Allstott's appearance. Lightfoot repeatedly invited her on vacations to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, and Lake Havasu, Arizona, invitations she found unwelcome and inappropriate given their professional relationship. His behavior toward other female employees was similarly concerning, with one incident involving a comment to another female employee saying, "Why don't you come to my office and let me watch you put that in your mouth?" while she was eating a sub sandwich. In August 2015, Allstott filed a federal civil rights suit against the city of Los Angeles, alleging unwanted advances and a hostile work environment. Her lawsuit also claimed retaliation after she rejected Lightfoot's advances, stating that undercover officers trailed her and followed her to her home in Palmdale after she complained, to Deputy Chief Deborah McCarthy, who allegedly took no action. According to testimony from Captain Rolando Solano, who is now married to Allstott, she feared creating waves and facing backlash if she reported Lightfoot's behavior. Solano described Lightfoot as creepy and stated that when he raised concerns to Deputy Chief McCarthy, his concerns were dismissed. The case went to trial in April 2018, resulting in a unanimous 12-0 jury verdict in favor of Allstott, awarding her $3 million in damages for past and future emotional distress. The jury clearly believed Allstott's version of events over McCarthy's testimony, as noted by Allstott's lawyer, Marla Brown. However, Judge Richard L. Fruin Jr. later reduced the award to $1.8 million, ruling that Allstott would not suffer future future pain and suffering. Throughout the legal proceedings, Lightfoot consistently denied all allegations, maintaining that he had not engaged in any inappropriate behavior toward Allstott or other female employees. What happened to Lightfoot as a result of these allegations and the subsequent settlement? He retired in February 2018 under the Deferred Retirement Option Program, collecting an additional pension of $423,154 and $102,000 in sick time. This retirement, rather than termination or demotion, has fueled controversy over accountability within the LAPD, with critics arguing it reflects a lack of serious consequences for harassment. Allstott, a 20-year veteran of the force, remained on duty within the LAPD's internal affairs as of the last reports in 2018. The contrast between Lightfoot's comfortable retirement with significant financial benefits and Allstott's experience and subsequent legal battle illustrates the often unequal outcomes for accusers and the accused in these cases. Lightfoot's case started with one voice, but this next cop was called out by several women. Darren Taylor, who joined Leicestershire Police and worked there from at least 2021 to 2023, was accused of sexually harassing 9 female colleagues over an 18-month period. The allegations against him painted a picture of a predatory officer who specifically targeted younger, newer female officers in the department. A misconduct hearing in July 2024 considered 22 specific incidents involving these 9 women, who provided detailed evidence about Taylor's inappropriate behavior. The panel described his actions as predatory, sexually motivated, and focused, particularly targeting younger female officers he found attractive. Taylor, who was between 32 and 34 years old during the incidents, allegedly focused his unwanted attention on women aged 22 to 27, creating a significant power imbalance due to both age and experience within the force. Several specific examples emerged during the hearing, illustrating the pattern of Taylor's behavior. One witness reported receiving an Instagram message request from Taylor within 2 minutes of a brief 5 to 10 minute interaction at a police station in the summer of 2022, followed by an invitation on a date, which she refused. Another witness described receiving an unprofessional email from Taylor saying "say hello" after seeing her at headquarters and experiencing unwanted touching on her waist while he squeezed by, which made her feel uncomfortable. A third witness reported Taylor commenting on her looking good in the gym, leading her to avoid the gym if he was present, and experiencing unwanted arm stroking and having his arm over the back of her chair during a meeting. The misconduct panel found that Taylor's actions included unwanted and uninvited touching on inner thighs, shoulders, arms, and waist, which they deemed inappropriate for the workplace and explicitly intimate and sexual. Particularly troubling was the finding that Taylor noticed some discomfort from the women but continued his behavior anyway, showing little contrition and failing to accept that his behavior was sexually motivated. The hearing also revealed a pattern of differential treatment based on rank and seniority. Taylor would obey requests to stop from older or more senior officers, but persisted with newer and junior colleagues, indicating a calculated approach to his misconduct that targeted those least able to push back against his behavior. Detective Superintendent Ollie Tompkins from Leicestershire Police's Professional Standards Department emphasized the severity of Taylor's actions, describing them as intentional, targeted, and repeated, significantly harming the work environment for multiple female officers. Before the misconduct hearing could conclude, Taylor resigned from Leicestershire Police, a move that critics argue was an attempt to avoid formal dismissal. However, the hearing proceeded in his absence, and the panel stated that he would have been dismissed without notice had he still been serving, highlighting the severity of the findings. Taylor pulled a last-minute move to dodge punishment, and the next cop took a page straight out of the same playbook. Mark McKitrick worked at Lloyd House, the West Midlands Police Headquarters in Birmingham, where he developed a pattern of behaving inappropriately with female colleagues that began as early as 2017. His behavior included asking inappropriate personal questions and engaging in unwanted physical contact, such as hugging. The true extent of McKittrick's misconduct remained hidden until March 2020, when a formal complaint triggered a cascade of reports from other women, indicating a pattern of behavior that had been ongoing for several years. The victims reported feeling shocked, embarrassed, upset, and angry due to his actions. A misconduct hearing on July 5, 2022, examined these allegations and found that McKittrick's behavior breached several professional standards, including authority, respect and courtesy, equality and diversity, and discreditable conduct. The panel concluded that his actions amounted to gross misconduct, emphasizing that such behavior was unacceptable in a professional policing environment. Like several other officers we've discussed, McKitrick had already resigned from the force just prior to the hearing, meaning he avoided formal dismissal. However, the panel stated that if he had still been serving, he would have been sacked without notice, and he has since been banned from ever working in policing again. This outcome was intended to send a clear message about the force's stance on harassment, even if the timing of McKitrick's resignation prevented formal termination. While several women spoke up against McKitrick for inappropriate behavior, this next cop played a different kind of game. Mike Barnshaw. Our next case takes us to Cambridgeshire Constabulary in the UK, where Detective Sergeant Mike Barnshaw's predatory behavior toward female colleagues led to his dismissal after a lengthy investigation. Barnshaw, based at Parkside Police Station in Cambridge, was accused of sexually harassing 3 female colleagues over a period from 2015 to 2021. Unlike some of our previous cases involving unwanted advances or inappropriate comments, Barnshaw's misconduct involved engaging in manipulative, abusive, and controlling relationships with these women. A misconduct hearing in January 2024 examined detailed complaints dating back to August 2015, revealing a disturbing pattern of behavior. Between August 2015 and June 2016, Barnshaw entered into and/or maintained a close, emotional, and/or inappropriate relationship with female coworker, during which he was manipulative, abusive, and controlling. Following the end of the relationship, he behaved in a manner deemed to be harassing, with continued unwanted contact. In the same time frame, he had a similar relationship with another colleague, during which he committed serious non-consensual acts and was manipulative, abusive, and controlling. After the relationship ended, he again disturbed the lady with unwanted contact. A third woman was also involved, with Barnshaw's behavior described as manipulative and controlling, though specific details were not fully provided in the available reports. The misconduct hearing, which lasted 2 weeks at the Holiday Inn Peterborough West, found that Barnshaw breached multiple standards of professional behavior, including honesty and integrity, authority, respect and courtesy, equality and diversity, orders and instructions, and discreditable conduct. The panel concluded that his actions amounted to gross misconduct, emphasizing that such behavior was unacceptable in a professional policing environment. In the end, Barnshaw was dismissed from the force, ending his years of reigning terror on the women he worked with. While Barnshaw manipulated and controlled his victims, this next cop ended up with a restraining order. Manuel Reyes. Manuel Reyes served as a captain in charge of internal investigations and complaints within Holyoke Police Department in Massachusetts, a position that made his alleged misconduct particularly troubling, given his responsibility for investigating complaints against other officers. The case became public in March 2023, when a junior female officer filed for a harassment prevention order against Reyes in Holyoke District Court. The allegations were serious, including claims of non-consensual touching, groping, kissing, and repeated unwanted contact over several years. The officer alleged that Reyes's behavior was persistent and distressing. The court took these allegations seriously, and the judge granted the harassment prevention order on March 28, 2023. On the same day, Reyes was placed on administrative leave while the department investigated the claims. The case was later transferred to Chicopee Court, where a judge extended the restraining order for a year in April 2023, ruling that the female officer's story was more believable than Reyes's defense. The city of Holyoke hired an independent consulting firm to investigate the allegations, a move that demonstrated a commitment to impartial examination of the claims. In October 2023, the investigation concluded, finding that Reyes had violated city and departmental rules against misconduct and other policies. This finding confirmed the junior officer's allegations and indicated that Reyes's behavior had indeed violated professional standards. However, before any formal disciplinary action could be taken based on the investigation's findings, Reyes retired from the HPD in October 2023. This timing, retiring just as the investigation findings were being finalized, allowed him to leave with a full pension and a payout for unused paid time off, avoiding potential termination or other formal disciplinary measures. What makes this case particularly significant is that the investigation uncovered additional issues beyond the allegations of inappropriate behavior. Reyes was also found to have unlawfully accessed the criminal background of his estranged wife's ex-boyfriend, a misuse of police resources for personal purposes. This additional finding suggests a broader pattern of ethical violations and abuse of authority. The financial implications of the case continue to unfold. As of October 2024, the city was considering a 6-figure settlement with Reyes's accuser, indicating ongoing legal and financial repercussions from the misconduct allegations. This potential settlement, coupled with Reyes's pension and PTO payout, represents a significant financial cost to the city. While Reyes was a stalker, this next cop took things a step further. Simon Herwood. Our next case takes us back to the United Kingdom, where Detective Inspector Simon Herwood of Cleveland Police engaged in a 14-year campaign of inappropriate behavior against female colleagues, resulting in one of the most extensive misconduct investigations in the force's history. Herwood joined Cleveland Police in February 1991 and served for 27 years, rising to the rank of Detective Inspector in October 2014. His career included notable achievements, such as winning an award in 2011 for pursuing a sex attacker and involvement in significant cases. However, behind this seemingly distinguished career lay a disturbing pattern of predatory behavior toward female colleagues. Perhaps most troublingly, Herwood worked in the Professional Standards Department, the very unit responsible for overseeing internal investigations and complaints about officer conduct. This position gave him significant authority and insight into how misconduct allegations were handled, potentially allowing him to evade detection and manipulate processes designed to identify and address inappropriate behavior. The scale of Herwood's misconduct is staggering. He was accused of sexually mistreating 21 female colleagues, with misconduct dating back to 2004 and continuing until 2018, a 14-year period during which he allegedly engaged in predatory behavior toward vulnerable junior officers. The allegations included coercing women into sleeping with him, grooming colleagues for explicit photos and videos, demanding non-consensual favors, and abusing his rank to exert influence. Specific behaviors alleged included sending flirtatious and unwanted texts and emails, with one woman receiving over 2,500 work emails from Herwood, highlighting the scale of his communications. He also allegedly asked for explicit pictures and requested that women wear white underwear at work. Behaviors the panel deemed coercive, though, without reported violence or physical force. Witness testimonies provided disturbing details of his conduct. Witness A reported being coerced into performing sex acts on him in police vehicles and his office, fearing job loss if she reported it. Another witness described being demanded to send naked videos, feeling prostituted by his actions. Witness I recounted being groped and subjected to fantasies about schoolgirls and headmasters, adding to the distress. The case came to light in January 2018 when an anonymous email was sent to Cleveland Police's counter-corruption unit, triggering a major internal investigation equivalent in scale to a manslaughter inquiry. Herwood was arrested on March 2, 2018 for misconduct and suspended from duty, but was later released under investigation due to insufficient evidence for criminal prosecution. Despite the lack of criminal charges, the internal investigation proceeded, and Herwood resigned in September 2018 before the misconduct hearing. The disciplinary hearing took place in Middlesbrough on October 29, 2018, and he did not attend. The panel upheld 8 allegations of gross misconduct and 8 more of misconduct involving the 21 women, finding that his behavior breached multiple professional standards. Throughout the proceedings, Herwood denied many of the allegations, claiming that all sexual activity was consensual and occurred off-duty. He admitted to an off-duty sexual relationship with one complainant, but described many claims as cruel nonsense and lies, stating, "The only mistake I have made is helping the majority of the women at some of the most difficult times in their lives." A particularly contentious aspect of the outcome was that Herwood retained all but the final 2 years of his pension contributions, sparking debate over accountability for officers who resigned before dismissal. While he was barred from serving in any UK police force in the future, the financial penalty was limited compared to the extent and duration of his misconduct. The case highlighted how the #MeToo movement encouraged reporting, with the 21 women commended for their strength and courage in coming forward. However, it also raised questions about why Herwood's behavior went unchecked for so long, and whether systems designed to identify and address misconduct within police forces were functioning effectively. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.